Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to look at the light novel version of the anime adaptation of Bungo Stray Dogs. Now, from what I understand, Bungo Stray Dogs is a manga that got a light novel adaptation, which also got an anime adaptation, and is now having a light novel adaptation of the anime adaptation. That's right, it's an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation. Yes, it gets very complicated. Now, this was sent to me by Yen Press for a fair and honest review, and if I'm perfectly honest, I actually have not consumed any of Bungo Stray Dogs. So I'm going into this, well, trying to decide if this is a good jumping in point. Now, this is based on what I'm assuming is the first 2 or 3 episodes of the anime. There's only 100 pages long, and it appeals to a younger demographic. That's right, this is for ages 13 and up, compared to the actual series, which is designed for 16 and up. And if I'm perfectly honest, this does feel like an anime adaptation. Young, hungry and homeless, the orphan Atsushi Nakajima sees his hard-knock life turn around when he meets Osamu Dazai, a peculiar man who's part of a group of detectives with special powers, and he wants Atsushi's help to catch a man-eating tiger that's terrorizing Yokohama. So this is about a young orphan boy named Atsushi. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comments. And he's not really having a good enough time. He's on the streets, he doesn't really kind of have much of a, well, he doesn't have any kind of future ahead of him. That changes when he meets a strange man with his legs sticking out of the river. That man, well, he kind of takes pity, I suppose, on our protagonist and treats him to food. And our protagonist joins this Bungo Stray Dogs detective club. It's not really explained what it is, it's kind of like a detective kind of thing. And there's mysterious goings on as there is a man-eating tiger that pops up, and just so happens to pop up whenever our protagonist is in the area. Strange that, isn't it? Yes, you two can probably see where the whole of the twist is going to be. Now, all of the characters have their special abilities, and yeah, that's kind of about it. So this covers 2 different little cases. The first one about the man-eating tiger, which, let's face it, even just reading the synopsis, you kind of have an idea where this is going. It's pretty darn predictable. The second one is, well, about a bomb scare, and if I'm honest, that was also pretty darn predictable. And that's kind of more or less what I can see about the plot and the characters. This gives you a very bare bones introduction to them. If I'm perfectly honest, all of the characters felt very animated. Now, in most aspects that would be fine. It gives them a bit of personality. However, when I say animated, I mean that all of these characters feel like they're anime tropes. It feels like something that you are reading where the characters have over-the-top actions and responses, but unfortunately that doesn't really give them much of a personality. If anything, I kind of didn't really feel anything from any of the characters. They were interesting enough. I mean, I think probably the most interesting one was the boy who kind of has a sister who is madly in love with him, which I kind of saw that and was like, yeah, we're going with that trope. Usually it's the other way around. But I didn't dislike them. It just felt that this really does rely on you already enjoying the anime. And that's its biggest weakness. I feel as an introduction, it kind of needs to give a little bit more. It needs to give a little bit more in terms of what you need to kind of understand about the characters. Oh, this character, he wears a coat and he's kind of over the top. Oh, this character, he's kind of over the top. Oh, this character, he's got glasses. He's the serious one, but also slightly over the top. Being over the top isn't necessarily much of a character, and this book does struggle with that. It does kind of assume you've already read the story many times before. Personally for me, Bungo Stray Dogs, the anime, the novel, was an interesting read. At only 100 pages and designed for a younger generation, it didn't really do much for me. However, looking at what this actually is, this is a novel adaptation of the anime. And when we look at that, it actually is a pretty good adaptation. Now, I can't comment on the manga, the anime, or the light novel. I've not seen or read any of them. I'm treating this as an introduction. And if I was hugely into the anime, I would probably pick this up. It does seem very true to that source. As a light novel fan, I don't like it. I would obviously go for the actual light novel version or the manga version. But think of it as a different way. Can you remember book fairs? Can you remember stepping into these kind of book fairs and they would have your Harry Potters, you'd have your very young ones, and they would have a few popular stuff. Went back in my time, it was the novelization of Pokemon the first movie. It was the novelization of Star Wars Episode 1. So yeah, if somebody who was very young, saw a Bungo Stray Dogs anime novel on the shelf on a school book fair, I would have been going mental for it. And if you treat it as someone's very early introduction into a light novel, it does a good version. One of the things we need to remember is most people buying light novels, they're going to be teenagers, late teenagers, probably young adults. But what about those who are a little bit younger, 13 and up? I probably wouldn't be recommending them Classroom of the Elite, Mushoku Tensei or Konosuba. But an anime adaptation, especially if they're already a fan of Bungo Stray Dogs, I'm not a fan of it, but I know it is one that is immensely popular with the younger generation. I think this is a very good shout. It, for me, doesn't necessarily do what I would expect from a novel, but 100 pages and very easy to read. I would definitely recommend it as a beginner light novel.